All right, Industry 45 podcast show, Giant TV. I'm your host, Shane Christopher Neal. Today, singer-songwriter, born and raised in New York City, currently living in Los Angeles. His name is Mr. Joey Sykes. He's always had great success in the music business, started at a very young age. His first band was called Boys Town, signed a single deal with EMI, and then played in a band called Coward, and were signed to Elektra Records, as was Third Eye Blind at the same time. So you get an interesting story about what happened there. We talk a lot about the music business and record labels. Longtime friend of Tommy Hendrickson from Alice Cooper and Hollywood Vampires. And interesting that Joey went to Los Angeles and bumped into Tommy by accident. We talk about that and where that led the two of them. He also played with Meredith Brooks. That's right, the I'm a Bitch singer. And toured all over the world and played Madison Square Gardens, opening for the Eurythmics and more. We chat about that. And the real premise of this was about a new song that Joey has written and released. And we're going to get into all that as well. Joey Sykes is my guest. Great guy, a lot of fun. It was a great interview. Hope you like it. It's coming up right now, the Industry 45 podcast show. All right, Industry 45 podcast show. And I think I'm talking to everybody in California during this time because, let's face it, everybody is available and not doing much. Joey Sykes, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, thanks a lot, Shane. I am available.
Yes, you are available. You've got quite a story background, and I was doing some research, watching some videos, and this being an industry show, I think you got some cool things to offer us here. Let's start at the beginning, though, with Boys Town. And how old were you when you started? You were young, like in your teens, right?
Oh, yeah. I was like right out of high school, Boys Town, yep.
And you got a record deal, or explain what that was with EMI.
Well, we signed, we were really close to a major record deal. We were almost signed to Atlantic. And it just didn't come through, and we ended up going with a singles deal in England with EMI. So they basically had us for a single, and we put out the single called "Way of the World," and then we kind of went there for 2 months and lived there and toured around, and then came back and tried to get a record deal again, and just couldn't get that major deal that we thought we were going to get, and then it kind of folded up.
So explain, though, to someone who doesn't know, what is a singles deal and how does it differ? I mean, do they pay for the production of the single? They distribute the single? What does that really mean? Well,
in England, they did it more for a long time. Now in the United States and pretty much all over, if they put when we say a single, it's like one song at a time, as opposed to a whole album of
right.
12 songs. So basically they kind of signed us to put out one song, see how that would go. And if that went really well and we started to get some traction over there, then we would have probably did a whole full-length album. But, it was okay. It didn't really do that well in England. And
so, but you're touring this single, if you will, or whatever. And do they give you tour support as well, or is that just all on you?
Yeah, no, they paid us to go out there and paid us to be there for 2 months and play the gigs and stuff like that. So they did make a commitment to it. But in that time, it was like late 80s, early 90s. We were like a band that was kind of like Foreigner meets Bruce Springsteen. And in the late 80s and 90s, right. It was very rock. So we were a little bit out of our element. Our competition at the same time would be like Don Henley when he released End of the Innocents around right. the same time, and that was the same style of music, or same audience as Boys Town would have been. So just to give you a point of reference, So you go on to play in Coward. So this was, from what I gather, one of your bigger breaks. So explain what that was like, being in that band, and kind of you did get a record deal, right? Yeah. So Coward was amazing. Me and the singer Shep, we put the band together, and in like 8 months we had a bidding war. We had like every major label wanting us and giving us a record deal offer. So it doesn't happen like that ever. And I don't know how we just couldn't do any wrong, I guess. We just kind of put this thing out and everyone just loved it. And, we played every place in Manhattan, CBGB's and Mercury Lounge and all these killer places. And then, we ended up signing with Elektra Records, and it was great. We got produced by Jerry Finn, who produced Green Day, and he was really hot at the time in the mid-'90s. And so that was that time.
It was, I've been to New York many, many times, but it wasn't until my last visit, which was, I don't know, September or August of last year, where I actually went to CBGB's,
wow.
which is a very expensive clothing store I see these days. But I had been there many times, but as you know, New York is so big that I'm only going there 2 and 3 days at a time, that I'm only going to see so many things. And I was actually going to see a Thomas Rhett concert at Madison Square Gardens. And my buddy and I just went to a number of different places, and we just kind of stumbled across that area where CBGB's was. So that was really cool. That must have been a cool, now that you look back at that, right, to play such an iconic place like that. So let's, with Elektra Records, what was that like at that time? Was it something where, did you feel at that moment that you made it, quote, in the big leagues? You're signed to a major label and you're in New York City, and it just seemed like nothing could go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you never think it's going to happen. For as many people, musicians and stuff that try, secretly you're thinking, no way. I can never really, if I'm realistic with myself, really picture myself like signing, a major record contract. It's just one of those things. It's really hard to attain, and we got it very quickly, which was amazing. And, the thing that went wrong with that project was Elektra, when they signed us, they didn't tell us, because we had two other solid deals that we could have taken, big labels. And they didn't tell us that they signed Third Eye Blind at the same exact time. Because if we would have had that information, we probably would have went with another label, because the way it goes in the record industry is if they have one band that does really well on radio, then that's what they're going to
put their money behind.
Concentrate on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they're going to put the money. So, we toured with them a lot and stuff like that, but it just was obviously not the same level of commitment once our both records came out. Like literally they came out like a month before us, and they just they consumed radio from day one, really. And it just was never really a chance. We never had a chance.
And I, even here in Canada, I mean, Semi-Charmed Life, I mean, that was something that was all over our Much Music. I'm sure it was all over MTV at the time as well. I see that a good friend of yours, and a guy that you went on to play with, Tommy Hendrickson. So let me tell you this, that I don't know Tom. I've met Tommy twice, and I'll tell you why and how. Because he plays Palermo guitars. And Mike Palermo is a very near and dear friend of mine, and he lives in the next city over from where I am here in Canada. So when Alice Cooper came to town, when Alice came to town, he brought the Cooper band minus Alice to because he's got a music store as well. And I met Nita there as well. And I did get to meet Tommy. And so that was kind of, and he's of course playing with Hollywood Vampires as well. So explain your relationship with him, because it goes back to your early days in New York, does it not?
Yeah, we go back to, pretty much in bar bands in Long Island, and we kind of known each other forever. We even went to, I hate to blow his cover, but we went to college together, like a music college, believe it or not. So, and then we just stayed great friends throughout the years, and he's just one of my favorite people, and so talented, and it's really amazing how he managed to not be real famous, like, whatever it might have been, as an artist, as a, it's never too late, but I'm just really amazed, because everyone who meets him loves him, and musically he's at the top of his game. So it's just incredible how he kind of stays under the radar.
So you went to California, so you're with him in New York, but you go to California after Coward, and if I'm not mistaken, go ahead.
So Tommy went to California about 10 years before me. So he was already there. So just to give you Yeah, he was already
So
there.
he was there, and then you went out, and I either read or listened to something where you mentioned you were out somewhere and you ran into him in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah. Well, I hadn't seen him because I don't think there was any kind of social media going on in like '96. And so I was out, the Coward band was out in New York, right? We were based in New York, but we did half the record in California. So the band was at the, like, one of the big malls in California, and we just closed shopping with the label and just kind of, we're at the top of the world. We think we're going to be real famous and everything. And so this guy comes up to me, and literally, like, I didn't know it was him because he cut his hair. He used to have long hair. And I just did, kind of lost track a little bit of what he was up to, And he's like, Sykes. And I really had to take a double take. He goes, Henriksen. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I was like crying in happiness, that we kind of connected. And since that day, it was just like, we just kind of, rekindled it and even went further and got really close. And then when he got a record deal on Capitol, right about 8 months after that moment, then I was still living in New York. But when I found out he got a record deal, I basically just, I drove across the country and played with him because I wanted to do that so bad,
Nice. And is that how you ended up in the Meredith Brooks band as well? Because I'm sure that was out of Los Angeles.
No, it wasn't. I was out playing with Tommy, and then we kind of toured a little bit, and that kind of ended. And then I heard about Meredith having guitar player auditions. So it was like one of those really horrible cattle calls where I had to go up against like 50 LA guys, and it was not pleasant.
And what's that like? So do they give you a number of songs that you select and play 2 songs? Do you just kind of show up with your guitar and they say, hey, we're going to play these 2 songs. You have to know them. Like, give me an idea what that looked like back then when you say cattle call for guitar players.
Yeah, you just, whoever their point person is, usually a manager or a personal manager, just kind of tells you what songs to learn and where the audition is and what time, and you show up and hopefully you make a good impression. And that one, they kind of whittled it down to like, maybe 3 different auditions. So, you get like a call back, just probably similar to acting. You get a call back and show up again, and then you make that one, and then it's down to like 2-3 other people, and then they make a choice,
Was that the first time you went through that process, or did you do that for other bands too?
Yeah, that was the first, like, that level of auditions. Yeah, I never really had to do that. I was always kind of starting the band, or, in Tommy's case,
knowing the guy,
I was
sure.
just going.
So I watched, I believe it was Jay Leno, and I am assuming you were playing on that in the I'm a Bitch.
Right.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. And I, that's the only song I really knew, from Meredith Brooks. But I went back into YouTube this morning and I was watching it, and it kind of looked like you too. I said, that's got to be him playing. That must have been exciting to play shows like that, right? Because you're playing with an artist at that level. You're playing some of the late night TV shows, and that's something special to always remember.
Oh, that was like bunch of bucket list things in that band. We opened up for the Eurythmics at the Madison Square Garden and the Staples Center, and we even did the Mike Bullard show.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I remember that one. Yeah.
And then we went to Europe and did like Top of the Pops, and it was just, and the band was incredible. I mean, the keyboard player in that band is basically, he went on to be in Don Henley's band, and he's in the Eagles. He's been in the Eagles for like, 15, 20 years, Will Hollis. And then the drummer was Herman Matthews, who played with like Richard Marx and Kenny Loggins. And it was a really killer band.
Well, you were in it, must have been. See? When did all that happen? That's with John Waite, right?
Well, it's John Waite was the original singer.
Right.
He's not in the new version. I mean, they broke up in like 1981. It was like one of those bands from England.
And Jonathan Cain played keyboards, did he not? Jonathan Cain?
No, he played bass and vocals.
Oh, okay.
The keyboard player was Jonathan Cain, who was in Journey.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant. Yeah, Jonathan Cain from Journey played keyboards. That's what I meant.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's the John Waite. So yeah, Jonathan Cain was the keyboard player. He's in Journey. Tony Brock was the drummer, and he went to Rod Stewart's band for like 10 years after the Babies broke up. They broke up in like 81. You know, they did their thing in like 4 or 5 years, had a couple of hits, and then they broke up like way too early, and they all kind of went off and did cool shit, you know.
And but he's not singing in it now, John Waite, or in the latest rendition.
No, the original drummer Tony Brock and the original guitar player Wally Stocker. Those are the two guys in the new version. And when I joined, that was like 2014, around there. I came in as a songwriter initially, just to write songs. That they were doing a new studio album. So somebody brought me in to write songs. And then one thing led to another, and they just asked me to be in the band like full time and play, you know, live and stuff like that. So that's how it happened. Very cool,
very cool. So let's talk about Let's Get Through This, because, like, honestly, there's days I wake up, I'm never sure we are going to get through this, and you're always looking for inspiration and hope. And yeah, you have a great song, and I watched the video as well. So when did you write this? Where did you write this? And give us kind of the story behind it.
So the song came, I had the title and the chorus written like 2 years ago. I just, you know, I got this recorder and different things with a bunch of like musical ideas and stuff like that. So this one always stuck in my head. It was really catchy. It was just like, let's get through this, you know, and I just had that on my recorder, and I never finished the song. It's just been like this thing that's been laying there. And then when all this started happening like 2 months ago, I got inspired to just finish it off. And so I tailored, you know, I wrote the verses and really tailored it to this time in life. And then, you know, produced it very much mainstream, could be pop, could be adult contemporary. Was, you know, I pictured it being on the radio and being on, you know, being like a hit where anyone could kind of listen to it, not any kind of genre, you know?
Yeah, I kind of felt that when I listened to it. In fact, a lot of your stuff, I'm like, I don't really know how to categorize it. It's a little bit of AOR. It's a little bit of, you know, it's got crosses kind of all over the place. And how do you kind of see your artistry? What would you classify it as, or is there a classification at all?
You know, I love great songs, man. So songwriting is really at my heart, you know, and if it's a great song and a great lyric, then it speaks to me, you know. My personal taste seems to lean towards either like power pop or like country rock. You know, I put a band together recently called Honey River, and there's a bunch of videos for your listeners to check out. If I know you had mentioned country, so I go to Nashville a lot to write. You know, I have a lot of friends down there, so it's could be country, but I don't really have a country sounding voice, I don't think. But I would say it's like a modern day, like Tom Petty meets the Eagles meets like Jackson Brown. Like that's the style of Honey River.
Yeah, I saw that, and I watched some of those that as well. So yeah, I'm definitely going to put that up on our post, and I see it right here. Honey River at Honey River Music is, what is that? Is that your Twitter at Honey River Music?
That's the Instagram
and the Instagram,
and there's a website called honeyrivermusic.com, and there's a fan page. And for your country listeners, I think there's a song that I have out. There's a video, a lyric video called "He Never Cried."
I was going to mention that.
It's
about your dad or somebody's dad, or explain that.
Yeah. It's about my story of growing up and stuff. And I think that if you're into country, I think you'll really feel that song. And I think a lot of people just in general would feel that lyric, because
I really did myself too. I watched it this morning, and I was like, wow, I was really engaged in listening to that song. Very powerful words.
Yeah, because it basically is about, and this is so many people's cases where their father is just, you know, kind of like could never show emotion too well. You know, like they never really said, I love you. They never cried in front of their kids. And it's really, really common. I mean, I got people writing me from, you know, female, male, young, middle. It's just kind of crazy how many people and you know, ages and stuff like that lyric kind of hits. Just really cool.
Absolutely. But like I said, it definitely resonated with me when I listened to it today. So you have a long list of people that you performed with or shared the stage with: Paul Stanley at Kiss, John Mellencamp, Bryan Adams. What is on your wish list right now for artists to either perform with or share a stage with, or maybe even write a song with?
Wow. You mean an impossible just wish list?
Yeah, like just if you had to pick one person, would you say, I want to write a song and record a song with Don Henley? That would be special. Or who would it be?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it would probably be McCartney. Just to be in the same, singing with him and playing music with him would be probably up there. A lot of the other people are not here anymore, but he's one of them. Don Henley, of course, he's one of my idols. I actually got to play with him. I auditioned for him. Yeah,
I saw that on your list. So explain that. So you did what with him?
So in 2000, he was auditioning guitar players for, second guitar players for his, what was that album he put out? Inside Job, I think?
Yeah, I think so. No, it was, I think it's Inside Job. End of the Innocence, Inside Job. Yeah,
Inside Job was like 99, 2000. So someone told me about it. Same kind of story. It was like, but the cool thing was that I got to play like a whole set with him and his band, like 7 to 8 songs, and it was just incredible. Like singing harmonies with him, and at that point I didn't even care if I was going to get it or not. It was just like, this is so freaking cool.
I'm spending 45 minutes with Don Henley jamming out. What's it matter, right?
Exactly. That's what it was like. So that was great. And then cool. Sheryl Crow's guitar player, he's the one who got it, who I'm friends with, Peter Stroud, and he's amazing. So I didn't mind losing to him for sure.
Very, very nice. So now that you've got the song out, let's get through this. And I know this is hard to answer right now because who knows what's happening in 2020, but if we get back to some type of normalcy, like what has kind of been your plan, or was your plan this year? Was it to go out and play live shows? Were you going to write more, collaborate, go down to Nashville? Like, what were you thinking?
Well, I'm always writing. I've been like one of the lucky ones who has my recording studio on my property, So like, other than losing work, which is financially really sucky, other than that, I'm getting tons of stuff done with my producing and writing, and just got a bunch of stuff that's going to be coming up, and have a YouTube channel that I'm going to start to be promoting more. So it's just go to YouTube and punch in my name. I don't even know what the name of the channel is. Maybe Joey Sykes Music or something. And then my Instagram is Joey Sykes 903. And I started a guitar solo series up on YouTube. So I pick like an iconic solo and just play it like alone. Like I don't play to a track. I think if you're into guitar and you're like play the solo. So if you're into guitar and classic solos like Another Brick in the Wall, Hotel California, Magic Man by Heart, Train Kept a Rollin'. So I just basically do the solo right there, in my studio. So I think that's a pretty cool little thing for people into guitar and classic rock.
It's funny because I'm a rock drummer. But I'm always, I love the sound of guitar. I love the guitar solos. It is what grabs me, the melody. When I'm driving and I'm, listening to old school stuff like Quiet Riot or Skid Row, and you're humming along those solos. And there's something about the guitar for me too. So I'm definitely going to check that out. And I'll post that as well as part of our links.
So if the easy way to find them, if you go to YouTube, if you go to Facebook and do the hashtag Sykes solo series, that'll kind of bring up a page where they're all up there. You could just go straight to YouTube, but that's kind of an easy way. Just go to Facebook, hashtag Sykes solo series. And you got a website too, joeysykes.com. All right, much thanks to Joey Sykes for joining me on the Industry 45 podcast show. Again, Joey Sykes, SYKES.com is the website. On Facebook, Starbox Joey, and on Instagram as well, Joey Sykes 903.
3. Just a reminder, you can check out Honey River Music, and you can check out all the podcasts for the Industry 45 show by going to Giant TV Niagara on YouTube, gianttv.ca, as well as the website. And they will be coming up as well at musiclifemagazine.net. Thanks for hanging out. Have yourself a good day. Cheers.